Right, folks, I need to get into detail of this. Brexit, as I say, like it, loathe it, it is a reality. We're living with it, and we will be living with it. Virgin Media and O2 customers, you will not be charged. Staying the same for you with your EU roaming charges. So, especially, of course, in this part of the world, Derry, London, Derry, Donegal, Fermanagh. I was going to say Monaghan. It's not Monaghan. Fermanagh, Sligo. Would be, wouldn't it? Fermanagh, Sligo border. Leitrim border, yeah.
You see, all right, yeah.
Anyway, but the important thing for now, the eye catcher, is that
Sorry, I
Vodafone,
also have to record
EE, and 3 have said they will reintroduce charges that were scrapped back in 2017 by the EU. The deal struck between the UK and the EU in 2020 allowed operators the option to reintroduce charges. Well, why, if they're able to, didn't they? Why wouldn't a corporate entity make more money if it was allowed to? Why have they held off? And indeed, will they all go now that a couple have gone? Important stuff for the pound in your pocket. Professor Kevin Curran, no less, Professor of Cybersecurity, joins us as he has so often in the past, and we appreciate your time as always, Professor. Kevin, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Mark.
Kevin, why, when they could have done this 2020, didn't they?
I guess they were holding off to see what the trade deal would break down to, and there was talk about inter-operator tariffs again, which is the main thing really about roaming not being batched out again. But also there was always a risk that if one of them was the first to go on charges, that other people would move to other companies as well.
So if 3 had have done this, and only 3 would have lost potentially every customer had on this side of the border, certainly in the border counties.
They would have lost a lot, but as you know, there's such a pain in the ass when it comes to changing your mobile tariff, really. So people tend to stick with it quite a lot. But anyone who's savvy would change it, of course, yeah.
So now that they've gone as a threesome, so basically now Vodafone, EE and 3 have jumped at the same time, Kevin. Do you think Virgin and O2 will follow quickly, or just enjoy mopping up their competitors' custom for the short term?
It's quite possible, but ultimately it comes down to a business decision, really, that there are roaming costs. When it comes to roaming, of course, you have interoperator. There's roaming, of course, within the national roaming, which is what we do when we're in a car. We travel between cell spots. Of course, this is international roaming, going between different jurisdictions, and they're bringing in caps, of course. They're bringing in that we have to pay £2 a day or maybe £10 for 30 days, which is not too bad. But the cost will increase because a lot of these tariffs as well now are 25 gig. And, people forget, really when it comes to their data, how much, within, if you're an ultra high video on Netflix, within 2 hours, you would use up your entire monthly allowance, really.
So sometimes you can be sat in Strathfoyle, Kevin, but serviced by a server on the Donegal side of the border. And if your roaming charges are covered, that's fine. And sometimes you get a thing, you've only a gig to use today if you're using Facebook and Ballyliffin, say if you're a northern customer. But at least the deal was there. So suddenly for a lot of customers, are they going to be waking up to cold, stark hikes in their bills without them even having known?
No, well, they should know. But, this will happen. I remember years ago, before 3, for instance, brought in the roaming, free at home around the world, especially in the United States. I was spending a lot of money on roaming. I remember getting caught out, 20 years ago for about 250 quid. But nowadays, I never pay when I'm traveling in Europe, until now, obviously, again, because the EU brought in, the no roaming clause, really, which is one of the good things that they did, really. So, yeah, there will be people who are waking up. Now, there is tariffs. There is caps. £45, you can't be charged beyond that. So there is warnings, again, which are inbuilt.
A day?
So no one should... Oh, no, over the period that you're away travelling. If you reach your £45, you will get a warning, and then it's up to you after that. But
so if you cross the border once, it can be 45 max. That means if you went to Sligo for 3 weeks, it's 45 quid. But if you went to Muff to get diesel, Kevin, it could be 45 quid as easily.
Well, you'd have to do serious streaming, really, if you're in Muff.
Well, maybe you went to Muff, got your diesel and watched The Lord of the Rings on your phone.
Well, yeah, and honestly, that could add up a lot, really, because especially if it's 4K Ultra. But actually, to let people know, in your settings on Netflix, for instance, you can have different settings where you reduce the quality whatsoever. You can have auto, but it'll go up your bandwidth. But in other words, you can reduce your setting on your mobile phone, and you can also, obviously, there's so many things you can do with.
But when people have lovely high definition stuff, no roaming charges, that's going to feel like going back Stone Age for some users, Kevin. And that's not the way in the digital world. Once you have good stuff, you want better stuff, right?
It is, yeah, but we left it to use a single market. That's Brexit. That's one of the things we have to lump it. Again, of course, what you can do, what I do most of the time, whenever I'm on Wi-Fi, I download as many things as I can. Now, there are certain shows you can't download, but they're usually the exception. So Wi-Fi is obviously the key. But then when you travel as well, you're going to be paying for Wi-Fi and you got a family with you as well. These costs can be substantial. It's not nothing to be, it just adds up.
Gotcha. But I mean, you must not assume that. I'm only working this stuff out myself. Only just got broadband into the house, Kevin. So you're saying if you're going to do it, and you're going over the border, download stuff onto your phone at home, and then just watch it on your thing instead of getting it from the broadband quote in the EU, aka Donegal. Kevin, roaming. Does the cost of roaming does it cost the operators a lot of money to maintain, especially now with tariffs?
It does, again, because when it comes to interoperations, again, you have to have different network equipment in the system itself, different billing systems as well. It just complicates it as well. So there are extra costs. And again, this goes both ways. It's kind of like the way the internet works, really. There are transit costs, but generally one operator will charge the other operator the same kind of cost per megabit that they're charging. But of course, if one of them has transited more customers, then they face an extra bill. But generally, it works out over time. And that actually is how the internet works. The internet is not free underneath. Yeah. There are many mobile operators that are paying for the data that we're using. But of course, they get their money back from our services or subscriptions in the end.
But those 45 quids, Kevin, could mount up. Say the Waynes all have a device, 4 kids, maybe... Yeah, wait up on Durham for the weekend. Wayne's glued the TV devices, all the rest. That could cost you more than going over the water.
Yeah, well, absolutely, it can. But again, that's where you got to educate your kids about Wi-Fi and again have data plans. Really have limited. But I will say that at least the costs are saying for about 30 days. You get about a £10. You get a £10 cover for that, which is not the end of the world, but. It's more, again, that you kind of have to think. What I liked about the free roaming around the world most operators gave, especially in Europe, was you never had to think about your bill. You knew
exactly.
You had a certain...
I enjoyed it. I couldn't believe it. I was stood in Hamburg last time I travelled. Yeah. Years ago now it is, by the way. Kevin, sitting on WhatsApp, talking on a video for free to a friend elsewhere in Europe and not being paid a penny. I couldn't believe it. It was like being in Star Trek. Kevin, you can turn off roaming, right? But there's going to be a civil war in the caravan of Bundoran, isn't there?
There is indeed. I mean, yeah, you can turn off roaming, of course, but then you got to turn off the background services, which you might be using data. But of course, then you're of course, children, teenagers, and nearly all of us now expect kind of seamless internet service again. And to be honest, I mean, it's one of the great things we've had for long journeys in a car. I've had to do that for many years, and to be honest, it was a lifesaver having the kids having broadband all the way to Galway and back.
Yeah. Right, Kevin, I mean, you need to be smart about this. Look, at the end of the day, I think most people are pretty much like me, a wee bit technophobic. I go to people in here or ask Emma and the like, or yourself for that matter. I think people buy the gadget, pay the money, others your monthly, and then this stuff hits them like a snowball away down the line. Family member included over Christmas, the way gobsmacked when she got a huge bill simply for phoning a loved one in Sligo because she didn't know what the crack was.
And Mark, yeah. Mark, sorry, just to clarify, for again, there is no roaming charges for the Republic of Ireland by any of them. It's more Europe, in mainland Europe, we're talking at the moment.
Right, that's very important. Hold on. So the Republic of Ireland is an EU member. We are not. But you're saying what? Exactly, Kev?
None of the mobile network operators are charging for roaming in the Republic of Ireland.
Right, okay, that's important. That's really important. Now, the operators who have declined say they will reintroduce roaming costs, Kevin, hoping that roaming will be renegotiated in future between the UK and the EU. I mean, I think many of us grounds. I mean, let's be honest about the characteristics of negotiations between the EU and the UK in recent years. It's not been that fantastic, has it? Do you hold out hope?
Not really. I think that they're going to punish us, and I think that this is part of it as well. And again, I have no proof about that, but I think that Europe is trying to show us one of the reasons why Brexit maybe was not the best idea.
But I've said it before. If you decide to leave the golf club, and the members, and you turn up with a putter just to go on, actually just want to go onto the wee putting green, the members have every right, have they not, Kevin, to say, fella, didn't want you to leave, but you left off the putting green. You're not a member.
Yeah, of course, Of course, we took a decision.
Right, Kevin, just want to have you. Anything else? I mean, as a leading educational person, anything else? Just want to have you, Kevin, in terms of cybersecurity and these associated matters?
Not so much. I just notice a quietness online. I think people are very... I just think the world's very sad, Mark, and it's just a strange times. Yeah. I've noticed that. But my inbox, I think my inbox is 1/3 of what it would have been before COVID.
Well, there you are. Maybe people just getting their heads peace in January after the madness. Don't know. Kevin, lovely to have you. Thank you for joining us today with his thoughts on the pending roaming charges. Kevin saying importantly, and I missed that obviously in the brief. The Republic for now not affected, so it's an all-Ireland situation that you currently enjoy. But EU, if you will be using your Vodafone EE or 3 in the like of France, Belgium, Germany in future, that looks to be chargeable. At the minute, Virgin and O2 say they will not charge EU roaming charges, but these things typically, of course, are fluid.